Hey everybody, welcome back to Carly's Creations. Today I am working on my first Milky-way tumbler. I've been wanting to try one of these for a while and I've just been so busy with orders that I haven't had time. So I'm going to do my first one with you guys. So we'll see how this goes, but I think I'm ready. I don't know, we'll see. So what I'm going to do first, I'm going to go ahead and mix my epoxy up. The only thing I've done so far to my cup here is I did prep it. I sanded it really well, and then I wash it with warm water and Dawn dish soap and let it dry with a paper towel, and I spray painted it white, and that's where we're at right now. So I'm going to mix my epoxy. I did measure it out, so I'm going to go ahead and mix that. And then what we're going to do is we're going to add a mica powder to the epoxy to kind of tint the base of our cup. So, depending on what colors you want to do, you know, I mean, there's endless possibilities. With this cup, I'm kind of going for a rose gold, goldish, tinted purple-ish colors. That made sense, right? Made sense to me. So I'm going to use pink champagne for my mica powder, and that's from Woods Goodies, and I will put everything in the description below for you. This video is probably going to be broken into a couple parts because this tumbler does require a lot of steps, and to avoid a 30-minute video, I thought I would just break it into two for you, make it a little bit better. Alright, so I have my epoxy mixed. This is the pink champagne that we're going to use. Oh, there we go. Oh, sorry, that's not focusing. Like I said, that's from Woods Goodies. It's not really a rose gold. It's kind of a rose. It's in the family, I would say, but not a true rose gold. So that's okay. I think I'm actually doing this cup for myself, actually. So I don't have to worry about if it was a customer's cup, things like that, trying to really get that color. So I poured my glitter into little medicine cups here. So what I'm going to use, this is Peachy Olive Glitters. H2O. Sorry, I got some dye on there. And this is just got a little bit of holographic, a little bit of clear, a tint of silver kind of things going on there. So what we're going to use also is our light rose gold chunky from Pamper Your Princess. I did find this on Etsy. Oops. And this has some rose golds and some actual golds in there. And so I wanted to use this because I want to tie in a true gold, which is right here. This is also from Peachy Olive Glitters. I think it's called Gold Digger. I'm almost positive on that, but I have it in my little container and I don't have the label on there, so I will look it up and I will make sure to put that down below for you. If you are looking for a gold, this is beautiful on your cup. Absolutely beautiful. So we're going to use that gold. And then to bring in just a smidge of brightness, we're going to use Recollections. This is the Muse and Chunky. Okay? So those are the four colors that we're going to use. Alright, got my epoxy here. Alright, so to add my mica powder, I'm going to grab a popsicle stick. And I'm probably going to add about that much. Just a little scoopful. So I got that in there, and I'm going to go ahead and mix that up straight into the epoxy. Don't mind my messy work area, I'm sorry. I'm a messy crafter. I'm one of those people that I know where everything is, but if you come into my workshop, it's going to look like an explosion. But I know where it is. It's cool. Drives my husband crazy, but he's a little OCD, so that's why. All right, so we got that mix. Isn't that pretty? It almost has like a goldish, I know it's hard to kind of see, but it's really pretty. So we're gonna plug in my turner here. This is actually the very first turner that I got off Etsy. I've since gotten a few. I actually just got one that's a 4-cup turner and I love it. So I can do 4 at a time. I have 4 cups going over there right now. I can put that down in the description for you too, because that one's pretty awesome. So, okay, off track. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and spread our epoxy and mica mixture. We're just gonna do one thin, even coat on our cup. And there's a couple little drip marks from the spray paint. I was doing it kind of fast. My daughter was taking off in the backyard, so I was just trying to get it sprayed. But that's okay, because by the time we get our glitter and everything on, you're not going to be able to see it. It will be hidden. This is just a base, so we don't have the silver underneath. The cup I am using is a 20-ounce Hogg tumbler. And I get the Hogg tumblers from the Stainless Steel Depot from Irene. But I like, they all come with straws and lids that slide. So I find that a lot of my customers like those lids with the little slider. And everyone loves a straw. This is also the skinny one. There's a curved version and a skinny version. This is the skinny version. I kind of like the skinny version personally. I actually have a fall one right now. That's a 30-ounce skinny. It's a plaid one. It's so pretty. I will try not to keep it, but I may do a plaid tutorial if that's something everybody wants to see. Let me know. Let me know if you want to see the plaid tutorial. There's definitely a lot to it and a lot of steps, but they are fun and they come out really pretty, especially for this time of year, for fall and winter. And you can do the buffalo plaid. You can do all kinds of different colors. The one I did is red and golds, because I thought, well, that's good for fall and winter, right? Okay. So I got it covered. I'm going to let that spin for just a minute before we start adding glitter. I do have a lot extra in here. I'm going to use this to make some earrings and some jewelry. I did make a tutorial a little while ago where I am making jewelry. So if you want to hop back onto the channel, scroll down a little bit, and then you'll be able to see the jewelry making one. But I've been making these little stud earrings that are really pretty. I can do a little video on that for you too, because they come out really pretty. So. All right, we're going to go ahead and set this aside. Now, we are going to start to add our glitter. Now, you don't have to put them in the medicine cups. I do. I just feel like it's easier than trying to hold this big bag over the cup, and my luck, the bag will tip and it'll slip and then glitter will go everywhere and then my cups are in. So, that's my 2 cents as to why I do that. All right, I got a little spot here that I'm going to fix. It's a little warm in my shop, so sometimes when it's warm, I don't know if you can see right here, it does get a little fisheye. I'm just going to pour a little bit on there. Okay, there we go. Some cups that do that and some that don't. It's weird. I really think it has to do with the temperature of your workspace. So right now it's probably about mid-70s out, low 70s. Okay, so I'm just gonna kind of go in a diagonal. No rhyme or reason to this. I'm just kind of putting it on. We're experimenting together. We're going to see how this goes. But this color is really pretty on this mica powder. Okay. I think we're going to do the dark next. All right. Sprinkle those on. Pretty color combination. Okay, so I think I'm going to break up the pinkish ones with the gold in between. Now this is not a chunky glitter, so I'm actually not sure how this will look compared to the chunky glitter. once we get the cup going. It's a beautiful glitter, and I always want to use it with every single cup. No joke. I've seen it done both ways, where you can use chunky and then you can use non-chunky. I don't know. Like I said, we're experimenting. Okay, so this is the rose gold and gold kind of mixture. So pretty. Okay. Okay, so I'm actually going to put this on the inner stripe next to that one right there. I'm not really doing a pattern. I'm not really going for a pattern. I'm just trying to see the best way that these will mix together. I want them to kind of incorporate with one another, blend a little bit. All right, this is the more iridescent one. The lines are not even, they won't be even, and that's okay. Don't read too much into it. All right, and then I think I'm gonna just fill in the rest, or most of the rest anyways, with this darker color. Pretty. Okay. There we go. So right now I'm kind of just looking for any empty spaces where the glitter maybe didn't get. I want to make sure that I do have my cup covered completely with glitter. Don't want no naked spots. My kids would get a kick out of that. All right. And then some of them will kind of get up along the rim. I just kind of move my finger along the top. Make sure none of those are sticking up. And then as it's spinning, just kind of look along the top. You can kind of see if some are sticking up. Just kind of lightly tap it with your finger. The flatter that you have it, the better it will be once it's cured. And the easier it will be to add your second coat. Otherwise, if you have a bunch sticking up, you're gonna have a lot of sanding in your future. And if you're like me, I don't like sanding. I kind of despise the sanding. It's probably best to use a glove for this part, but I did not, and that's okay. All right, so I think we're good. Just looking for any little last pieces of glitter here that I may have missed. There's one. All right, and I am going to hit the bottom a little bit. I do want to get some of that coverage, so I'm going to use, let's see. I'm actually going to add just mix. So I still have this is the only color that I have left really, is the kind of clear iridescent type one. So I'm just adding a little bit of that rose gold in, and then we're gonna throw it on the cup, literally. That's the only way I can think to actually get it on the bottom of the cup. And I kind of just toss it on. There may be an easier way out there, I'm sure there is, but this works for me, so I'll find it one day and then I'll show you. Okay. If it's not completely covered, it's okay. It's not that big a deal, because we're gonna add more stuff on there, so we're good. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we are going to just let this spin for for about 5 or 6 hours or so until this epoxy is hardened. We want the cup to cure. Tomorrow what we will do is, sorry, I'm kind of losing my train of thought because I'm watching glitter, and evidently I cannot watch glitter and talk at the same time, so I'll stop. Okay, so what we're gonna do is we're gonna let this dry, cure. I will probably come back tomorrow. It's about dinner time now, so I will come back in the morning, and then what we're gonna do is if there's any rough edges that we missed here, I will give it just a small, actually not even really a sanding. Sometimes it'll mess up with your glitter. So we're gonna add another coat of epoxy. It'll take 1 or 2 more coats depending on how thick we put it on. We want it smooth, and then after that we will be going to our next step where we're adding mica powders. We're going to add a few different mica powders to our epoxy, and we're going to drizzle it on, and it's going to do some really fun stuff. So we will be back tomorrow, and we're going to add another coat of epoxy, and then we will move on to part 2. So I will see you in the morning. Good morning. All right, so it is the next day. I let my cup turn for about 4 or 5 hours, like I said yesterday, and then I just let it sit undisturbed overnight. That way I know everything is secure in its spot and the glitter's not going to move around. Even if it does move around, that's okay, because we're going to cover it back up, so that's okay. I did pour my epoxy and I'm just kind of mixing it here. It is colder this morning. It's probably in the upper 50s, lower 60s or so. So the epoxy does take, it's a little bit thicker. It's a little bit more time consuming as far as getting it out of the bottle and mixing it. The warmer it is, the easier it is. But I have learned doing cups in the Central Valley of California where it gets 100 degrees or more, it can get too hot as well. So what I ended up doing is I put a window AC. I work in a detached garage, so I put a window in AC in excuse me, and that kind of helps regulate the temperature in my shop area here. So those days where it's 100 degrees and it's just so hot, I was noticing a lot of my cups getting fish eyes and dimples and not curing right, and I couldn't figure out what was going on, and I realized it was too hot. So once I turned that AC on, it did kind of regulate the temperature in my shop a little bit, and that did wonders as far as my epoxy and curing and things like that. So same thing when it gets too cold, it takes what feels like forever for it to cure, but it does take, I think, double the amount of time as far as curing time and things like that because of the cold. So I'll probably get a space heater and put that in here during the winter. Our winters typically aren't, I mean, crazy cold. It's not like the Midwest where we're below 0 kind of thing, but it does get dropped down into the 20s sometimes at night. So okay, I think that's pretty much mixed up. I love how sparkly this cup is. Isn't it pretty? All right, so we're going to go ahead and put another layer of epoxy on, and what we want to do is we want to make sure that we have a smooth surface. I did come back about an hour or so after I had laid the glitter down and just checked again and kind of poked some things down that were sticking up. So for the most part, everything is pretty flat. You don't want to sand your raw glitter. You'll end up scratching the glitter, and then you'll see those scratch marks throughout the cup. So you don't want to do that. After you get this layer on, if there's a little bump or two, you can give it just a light sanding, and then I wipe it down with rubbing alcohol before I do anything else. So okay, so this step is pretty easy, pretty basic. You're just going to add epoxy like you normally would. Like I said, you just want to make sure you get that smooth surface. That way it's nice and smooth for our next step. This will take anywhere from 1 to 2 coats, depending probably depending on how much you have on here. I'm not going to do a flood coat or anything like that. But you do want to make sure you get all of this covered. I'm going to start with a smooth working surface. And I do want to say thank you also to those of you who have reached out for me with your thoughts and prayers for my son. We are home now from the hospital, obviously. We were there for a couple of days, and he, for the most part, is doing well. The first couple days were pretty rough as far as getting him to eat and drink and take his medicine. So he's getting better about it. I just got him to take some medicine right now. So hopefully from here on out, it's pretty easy. I don't know, it's been a rough couple of days, so I'm kind of still trying to catch up on the sleep aspect of it all, which if you have kids, you know there's really no catching up on sleep. I don't think we ever get caught up on sleep as far as that goes. All right. But he's doing well. He's on the road to recovery. We go back in another week for a post-op appointment. And I'm trying to get it to where we can see a doctor that's near us, because where he had his surgery and his specialists are, we are about 3.5 hours away. So as of right now, they're wanting us to come back for a post-op appointment. But that means 7 hours of driving in one day for the surgeon to look at him. So, hi buddy. Oh, I'll be right there. So, let's see if we can work something else out. Alright, I'm going to take my heat gun to this because I do have a little bit of bubbles, or some bubbles, the tiny ones in here. So I'm going to get my heat gun and we'll hit it with that. Okay, so we got the heat gun. I'm just going to go over it, pop some of those bubbles. So we're going to let this spin again about another 5 hours or so, and then I'll turn it off and kind of just let it sit, and then tomorrow we will be moving to the next step. So I'm going to cut this video off here, and I'll go ahead and post this as a part 1, and then make sure you subscribe. That way you can be notified when part 2 comes up, and we'll get this little beauty finished. So I will see you for part 2.